Sunshine and our Wednesday talk.
Our weekly Wednesday.
Yeah.
Super sunny and happy today, so we got a good vibe going. We're gonna start with our cards.
Yeah, we thought we'd start off with pulling a card, an affirmation card, each of us. Or maybe we'll just do one.
Yeah, let's do.
Let's just do one, and that way it'll get us started. So this will be more of a collective affirmation.
And for me, like, what's the word collective mean? Means for everybody, right? So like, as for anybody and everybody.
Okay, spreading them out.
Ooh, I say make a cross.
Make a cross.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay.
Okay, but you're gonna pick the card.
I am, okay. All right, so deep breath.
Okay.
Ask Spirit to bring to us whatever message it is we need at this moment for this session. Something is telling me way over here. All right.
Dun, 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 dun.
Authenticity.
Oh, this is gonna be our topic, so we never have our topic. I love that word.
Yeah, and that's what I hashtag real talk, because I think if anything, we are real. This is us. What you see is who we are.
It's what you get.
So this card,
No surprises.
This card says authenticity is the name of the game. Whatever comes up, I will feel it. Whatever needs to be said, I will say it.
I don't like that one.
Whoever doesn't get it, doesn't have to get it. I like this. But at least they know it because I've said it. And that's way better than leaving a passive aggressive note about it. Oh, reminds me of that commercial about the ad about the women who are getting this text from a friend who's on vacation again, and they're like, you know, texting response, and the guy, the announcer or whatever, is saying something about too bad you can't read sarcasm or something in the text, you know. I like this a lot. I think we should talk about this.
I agree. What do you think authenticity means? Because it's a huge word and people throw it around like all the time, and I think people don't really actually, I shouldn't say people, I don't think I actually know exactly what.
Well, and I think we can all define it for ourselves in our own way, but I think, again, talking about the collective, to me, authenticity is just being real, but not real in the sense of, you know, how do I say this? I don't even know. You're right. It's hard to explain. Being true to ourselves, being real with who we are and what we're feeling and what we're putting out there. I don't know that it has as much for me to do with how I look to other people on a regular basis in general, like going to the grocery store. I don't know that I need to be authentic at the grocery store necessarily, because it's not a personal, I don't want to be vulnerable there. So I think vulnerable is a word that I associate with being authentic, because in order to be authentic, you need to be vulnerable, and you need to be real, and you need to really let whatever you are, whatever you feel, whatever you say, just, that's it, you know? And so I love how it says, whatever comes up, I will feel it. So that's being authentic. I mean, by denying what we're feeling, that's not authentic, that's not real. That's just shoving things away and not dealing with it. Whatever needs to be said, I will say it. That's a hard one. And again, I think it doesn't have to be everywhere with everyone, but I think in our important relationships, or, you know, in dealing with even clients or, you know, whatever, we need to be real.
And for me, authentic is like letting the inside of like who you really are, your essence of like who you were created to be, what was the plan before all this other stuff happened to you, before you were told who you're supposed to be, before the world told you, or before you had that experience where someone made fun of you, or where you had a great experience and you were super successful or whatever. Before all of that stuff is who are you, and
Right.
who did you plan with God or whatever, you know, you believe in before you got here. What was that, and what is that core, and letting that shine from the inside out, no matter what the circumstance, is authentically who you were created to be.
Absolutely, and I think it can show itself in so many different ways. I mean, you know, excuse me, drinking tea. For example, your post earlier about not having your glasses on. You know, all of that is about outer appearance, and yet, because of messages, it's also something internal that you struggle with.
Yeah, that's one of my, and like the way I picture it is like you have who you are, and then all of these things get layered on top of it, and you're trying to break through those. And the only way, well, what I'm learning for me to work through the stuff that I struggle with is to like put it out there. Tell people I struggle with it.
Right.
People don't know. People assume, like, it's like the thing I posted the other day too, is like everyone's perception of you is their reality. There is no two yous. Like, you think of me as, you have an image of me within you that is absolutely not 100% who I really am. Everyone has their own version of me.
Right, right.
In their mind or
From what they know and what they've experienced. And of course, we're not going to show all sides of ourselves to all people.
Mm-hmm.
So I see the side that you present to me, and somebody else is going to see a whole different side of Christy than I am. And so, yeah, they're going to have a different image. So it's...
And through their filter.
Right, through their experience and through their...
And your filter is, you're my mom, so you probably know me authentically more than anybody, but that there is a filter because it is your filter, it is your experiences.
Right, yes.
So, and that's all of your stuffs on top of who you are, filtering who everyone in your life is. And so, to me, it's like, put it out there. People don't know. You know, I bet most people in my life have no idea what I struggle with.
Yeah, which you just said something, and it's just really interesting because it just kind of clicked with me that we know what we know about somebody based on the past, based on our experiences, and yet that person changes in ways that we don't see. And so sometimes I think when I see someone and I think, gosh, she doesn't seem to be real, or she doesn't seem herself, or
that's a common, right?
yeah, gosh, you know, she seems like, you know, this doesn't seem like the person I've always known. You know what that could be is that person has evolved, that person has changed, has gone through experiences that I haven't witnessed, and so now that doesn't mean that who you are is not true. It means that my perspective has changed or hasn't, you know, been witness to that evolution. So yeah, it's really interesting to think. So when we judge other people, we should stop and think that, you know, we don't know what's happened in their life.
And we're judging based on the experiences in the past that we've had, and not based on that exact moment.
Right.
Of who they are, because and they could be not showing their real self from the whole time that we judged them.
Yeah.
And it's not even necessarily judge is like such a crappy word, but it's like, it's really just our filter of how we are, you know, how someone is going to fit into our life. We're filtering others based on what we need, what we want, what we don't want, like, right? And like evaluating that for our authentic self. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, just like two people can experience the exact same, can go through this exact same experience, and yet when they retell it, it has totally different, they could be totally different. And how do you say which one's right? I mean, from their
Yeah.
perspective, both people are right. I've had that happen with my sister and I so many times when we talk about something that happened in our childhood. And she'll tell it one way, and I'm like,
what?
where the hell was she? I mean, and yet that's her truth.
Uh-huh.
I don't think she's making things up or lying. That is how she experienced it. That also doesn't invalidate my experience.
Right.
So we can both be right. And yeah, that's just interesting.
It also reminds me how my kids always tell me, well, everybody, that I'm an over-exaggerator.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's how I experience life.
Right.
Like, it was the craziest, most wild, awesome experience I've ever had at the grocery store. You know what I mean? But that's like my reality. And they're like, okay, Mom, was it really that great? Or like it was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life, whatever example, and it was like at the pet store. They're like, or the worst is the worst to me too, but that is the way that I process things. Like, it was the worst day and whatever. I can't even think of examples, but that's my way.
Right. You feel things extremely, so that's your experience.
And so I'm not over-exaggerating. This is how I'm experiencing it. Right? Like, it feels like heaven. I say that a lot. You know what I mean? Like, but that's my way of filtering stuff. But I think there's something to be said about being able to do that as well.
Well, and that is being authentic, because that is who you are at your core, without a filter.
But there are things on there that are really hard to do. Like, I think that.
Well, that's the thing I was gonna bring up is, whatever comes up, I will feel it. That can sometimes be hard, because sometimes the feelings are not things that we want to look at. And at least for me, that's easier than whatever needs to be said, I will say it. And so when I think about the difference there, it's like I can feel something because I feel like that only affects me.
Mm-hmm. That's what was just triggering me, yeah.
And when I say it, I worry so much about how that's going to affect the other person. And, from what this is saying, whoever doesn't get it doesn't have to get it, but at least they know it because I've said it. And I think that goes back to what you were just saying, that, if we don't share our experiences, people can't truly know who we are.
Nor do they feel comfortable being able to be who they are.
True, because we need to be vulnerable. We want them to be vulnerable. But I think that speaking our truth and saying things that need to be said, I think that's a hard one, because I also go back to, asking myself, is it kind? Is it true? And is it necessary?
Mm-hmm.
And
I never think it's necessary.
And the thing
I
is,
hate it.
those are my filters before I do say something that's hard to say, because, if it's not nice, okay, if it's really kind of mean, then I really need to look at, is that more about me or about them? And is it true? Well, of course, I want to make sure that I'm always speaking truth.
Sure.
And is it necessary? Because maybe it is kind, maybe it's not mean, and maybe it is true, but is it really necessary? And another way that I think of, is it necessary, is what am I trying to achieve?
Right. Is it ego? Is it right? What is it for the greater good? Is it for love? Is it for growth?
Right.
Is
it setting healthy boundaries? Is it, or is it coming from ego? Is it because I want this person to agree with me.
And I want to know I'm right.
I want them to, you know, see my side of it, and so I'm just gonna keep trying to say it in all the different ways that I can say it, so that, you know, hopefully they're going to agree with me at some point. And, you know, so I think if we put it through those filters and we put it through, you know, those questions, and we determine that we still need to say something because it is setting healthy boundaries, or it's something that is important that we speak that truth, then by all means, all we can do is be responsible for how we say it. We can't control how people take it.
The two things popped up for me, but when you're talking about that is, one, if you don't speak it, you're holding it.
Right. And then you're gonna do that passive aggressive no.
You could, or you hold it and your body's going to have to internalize it. So either it will do something, then you're holding that pain.
Right.
And so it's really an option of choosing yourself or not choosing yourself, right? To save other people in fear of their reaction.
Right, which you don't even know for sure what their reaction is gonna be.
No, and I struggle with a lot of anxiety in that because I don't want to hurt anybody ever.
Right.
But that's not giving people the benefit of the doubt either, and having faith in them that they will be able to accept the information, you know.
Well, and also that you're not being true to yourself then, you're not being authentic, and that's also not fair to yourself, but not fair to other people, that you're not being that true self, that core, you know, true to who you are. And an example is, which I don't know if my husband can hear us, but it's fine, I don't think he'd mind that I share it, but, you know, yesterday I had a real difficult discussion with him because he surprised me and very kind and brought me home a gift, and yet I felt so disappointed, and I was really truly upset because it didn't feel thoughtful. It was thoughtful, but it didn't feel thoughtful, and I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's a matter of, I need, because of past issues, because of triggers, whatever, I need to be able to speak my truth in those situations. And so it was hard, and I went through my questions. I'm like, okay, first of all, is it mean? And it's like, well, I don't intend it to be mean. I intend it to be authentic, and it's coming from a place of me having to speak my truth so that I can, you know, we can have a better relationship. Is it true? It is true for me. I don't know what his truth is, and I give him that opportunity to share that, but it's true to me. And then, is it necessary? And part of me was like, oh, that part I kind of struggled with, because is it necessary? Well, it's necessary if I want to be true to myself. But then again, there's this guilt comes in because, like, well, I should be grateful. He was trying to be nice, and, you know, now I'm going to, like, you know, kick him in the stomach, you know, after he tried to do something nice to me, for me. But I determined for myself that I needed to say that. So I just tried to find the most loving way to say it, and spoke my truth, and it wasn't easy, but he took it great. I mean, yeah, there was some back and forth because he was trying to express to me what his intention was, and that, you know, of course he had no intention of hurting me and whatever, but after we talked it through, I think he got it. And I think then he realized that, you know, yeah, he was trying to do something thoughtful, but if it didn't feel thoughtful to me, then that's what's important. So my example being, you know, kind of, I don't know what word I'm trying to use, but for me, that was me being authentic. I would have had a hard time in the past doing that, because all of those voices in my head saying, well, you should be grateful, and he was trying to do something nice, and don't be a bitch, and, you know.
But you can be grateful at the same time as the other feelings, and that's letting feeling the feelings that you're having, you know, it's
Right.
not,
Right.
you know, putting
And
them to the side or whatever.
And I think it's different because it is my husband, that it's somebody that I do really need to make sure that we have that conversation, where had it been somebody maybe not, that I was not really close to, it might have been able to been left at me saying what I needed to say and setting that boundary. But being it's, you know, somebody that I'm in a relationship with and whatever, of course, then there's more of that back and forth. And I'm just really glad I did it. It was hard, and I really felt worried that I was hurting him, and also that I was being, you know, kind of a spoiled brat or something. I don't know, all those old messages in your head, you know, like, you should be grateful, you're being a spoiled brat. But I'm so glad that I did. It turned out okay, and it was my truth.
Yeah.
So I know you have a hard time with
I hate it.
speaking your truth all the time, and
I'm getting better. I had an example, and I don't even still know why I felt this, but on one of our cheer teams, we knew they were getting a bid to the end-all be-all competition, but they didn't get to find out until 7:30 at night. And one of my coaches' mom was asked to make these shirts for us coaches to wear and then show the kids, and that's how they'd find out. And that's such a cool idea, so cute. And everything in my spirit was, I'm not wearing that. And I'm like, why do I feel like that? Like, this is so nice. This is so thoughtful. They sent me a picture of this shirt. And I was like, I don't want to wear it. I didn't want to do that. I don't know why. It didn't feel right to me. It felt like it's not about me, but I know it. That wasn't saying it was about me. I just don't know. So I texted my coaches and I said, I love your idea. I really want you guys to wear them. I hope you can respect. I'm not going to wear the shirt, and I don't know why, you know, and that was hard. It was so scary because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. It's a wonderful idea. It's so thoughtful. I'm so proud of my team and my kids and my coaches, but I don't want to wear the shirt. I didn't want to, and I still don't even know why. It just wasn't right.
right, and you have to trust that. You have to trust yourself, and you have to listen to that. And I like it because it kind of goes along with this next part, you know, whoever doesn't get it, doesn't have to get it. They don't have to understand it, but at least they know it and you've said it. So it'd be different if you had just shown up and you weren't wearing it, and then maybe they're all like, well, wait a minute, why isn't she wearing it? And then they might speculate, and they might, you know, like assume that, you know, something. And this way, at least you said it.
And I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I could be really busy with my tumble class and not have time to put it on, you know, and then it wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings. I did think that.
Yeah.
But it was like, I just need them to know, but it has nothing to do with them, and I just don't know why. But I want them to do it. And I think it's...
If they want to do
if
it.
they want to.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want
Right.
anybody... But it just didn't feel...
So you were being supportive of them, and yet you also needed to honor yourself.
And I was scared to death. So my point is, I'm trying to do that. And honestly, they both were like, okay, but that's weird that you feel like that, but okay, you know, totally cool. And I don't think I hurt their feelings. But it is hard to choose yourself over other people, especially when you're told, like, your whole life, not by one person, by the whole world, like, don't be mean.
Right.
You know, be positive and be, you know,
Right.
yeah. We're really taught to put other people before ourselves.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think almost all of us, most of us have been. And, you know, there's that, there's more to it than that. I think, you know, we kind of grew up, that, you know, expecting that you're always going to think of others, and I think that's fine. It's just that it has to be balanced with, it's okay to also think of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so how do we stay authentic and stay true to ourselves and be good to ourselves, and at the same time still be good to other people, and, you know, not cause harm, at least not intentionally cause any harm to anybody else. And I think that's possible. I think you can do that. I think we can be true to ourselves and true to others at the same time if we get out of our own way and out of our own head of all those messages. And, you know, because you didn't wear that shirt, you were not doing anything to intentionally hurt anyone, and so that's different than if you had thought, well, you're jealous or something, and you're like, well, I am not wearing that shirt because, whatever. Well, then you might want to look at yourself and think, well, okay, is that really being authentic, or is that just ego, or is that,
Right.
But if it's truly coming from a genuine place, and you're trusting something that, whatever that message is or that voice is, and you're trusting that and you're being true to yourself, then you're not intentionally causing anybody any harm. I think that's part of being authentic.
Yeah. And what if, like, I know a lot of times people will ask me, like, how do you even know who your true self is?
Yeah.
And
I don't know, I think that's a big question, and I think that's a big topic maybe we want to talk about sometime, because I don't know how we know that, except, and again, it's probably an individual experience, and I think that's a great topic for another time, because we can talk a little bit about what our experience is with that. But I think it's, again, just kind of learning who you are and how it feels, and asking some of those questions and digging a little deeper into, okay, like I said, with, those 3 questions about, is it kind, is it true, and is it necessary? That last one, that being, is it necessary, is like really looking at why it is I'm doing this, or why I feel this way. And I think that's how we get more in touch with who our true self is. And because a lot of times it is so buried underneath, like you said,
So
all those
much.
years of stuff that we, everybody with good intentions maybe, but whether it be school or church or parents or friends or whatever, and we do get, our true self does get lost in that. But I do think we can, each of us individually figure out what our truth is and who we are authentically.
And it slowly probably evolves too, as we're,
Yeah, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, and that's okay, but yet at my core, I'm still that same person. As far as my true core values and what I was born with and whatever, so.
And really just trying to see how things feel, right? And that's kind of how you start to learn and know. Like when that situation with the shirt came up, I can tell you, it hit me so fast. I was like, whoosh in my gut, like a feeling of like, well, I'm not doing that. And then I had to stop, like, why do you feel like this? This is insane. This is not a normal reaction. And I think when you have like feelings like that, then you really have to do that evaluation of like, why am I feeling that? And that's where you can kind of honor yourself. And
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and that's probably what happened with
My situation
your
too.
situation
Yeah.
too. Is just you get that, and you gotta look at why and that's
Well,
with good stuff too.
And that's why I even explained it to my husband when I said, too many times in the past I have swallowed this, and I have just said, oh, thank you, that was so kind, and whatever, rather than acknowledging my true feelings. And I'm getting to a point now where I just can't do that anymore. And that doesn't mean that he did anything wrong. It's just, I had to respect that part of myself and honor that, and he got it. So I was very fortunate that way, or it could have maybe been a fight, but
I think what I love about that though is that gives him permission to do the same thing to you.
Absolutely.
And then your relationship is twice as strong.
Right.
Because you know what he's saying is what he really means, and there's none of that doubt.
Absolutely. And that's what I want in relationships. I want that. So if I want it, then I also need to be willing to give it. And it's gotta be back and forth. So if you have a relationship with somebody, again, a whole nother subject, and I don't wanna go too long here, but something else we can talk about sometime is if you have someone in your life that you can't do that with, or that it wouldn't be healthy, it's okay to also not go there.
Oh yeah, save yourself peace.
Yeah, because some people would not be able to hear that. You can still say it, but don't expect to get, but don't like the card, but don't expect to get the same type of resolution and a feeling of, okay, wow, great, he got it, and this is gonna help our relationship. Then it truly becomes just about, I said what I needed to say, and whether that person receives it or not, I have to let go of that and just, let it be where it's at, and at least I said it.
It reminds me of like, so you have this inside of you, this feeling, you're taking it out and you're putting it out there.
Right.
It is no longer within you. And now you are happy with inside your authentic self. You're happy, you're good, it's out here. They choose to do with it what they choose to do.
Absolutely.
End
I
of story.
will add to that, you're not giving it to them. You're laying it out here.
In the universe.
Yes, and then
Okay.
it's whatever they want to do with it. And I only say that because, and another topic, but responsibility, this is mine and it's my truth. So I'm gonna put it out here, but I'm not giving it to you and making it your responsibility. You can do with it what you choose to do with it. If you just want to leave it lay there and not acknowledge it even, that's unfortunate because our relationship might not then get stronger, but that is totally your choice.
And it's all good information. I mean,
Right.
what someone chooses to do with you being authentically you and laying your stuff out there shows you a lot about if you're going to continue to take your minutes that you have and put it into them.
Right. But I think it's just important that we don't try to pass it off. And that's what I had to look at yesterday too. Okay, I know I'm being triggered, so this is past stuff. That's not his responsibility. That's mine. I have to own that. Okay? How much of this really has to do with my current relationship? That's the part that I can put out there for him. It's still up to him whether he picks it up or not, but yeah, so again, whole nother topic.
Yeah, we can talk about that next time.
But I think that's just an important distinction, even though we're being authentic and we are being our true selves and we're putting things out there, it doesn't mean we're trying to get somebody else to be responsible for our crap,
Oh no. I don't want
And
anything.
we have to own that still. It's just we don't have to keep it inside and pretend like it's not there or think we're not worthy enough to speak up and say what we need.
Yeah. It's a good topic.
Yeah.
It is a
We
good
could probably
topic.
go on a lot longer, but we are trying to keep these a little shorter because we know as busy as everyone is, people don't have the time to stay with us for, an extended period of
2
time.
days.
Yeah, 2 days. But yeah, as you can tell, we could go on for hours, and we'll have to just make some notes after this so that we can come back to a couple of those topics because I
Yeah.
think they're good topics. And I mean, I'd like to hear from you. I guess we shouldn't assume it's what you would want to hear, but
Doesn't really matter. We're putting it out there.
yeah, put it out there, whether you pick it up or not, I guess. But we would like to know though if something
Yeah.
is sparked in you. I had lunch with a friend and she has watched these and she shared with me a lot of what she took away, and that was really cool when I
Yay, yeah.
when I had lunch with her, and it was great to hear other people's perspective of what they take away from our conversations, and it was wonderful because she and I then had that conversation and talked about some of those things,
And we have no expectation of it except for that we're sharing what we would normally do anyways,
right.
which makes this beautiful because then whatever, like your conversation transpires after that or someone else is with someone else, we don't even know, nor do we have control. We're just laying it out there.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want control of anything else in my life. Nothing.
We've got enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you for
love
being
this.
with us. Yep. And we look forward to seeing you guys again next week. And hope you'll drop us a line and let us know what's going on with you.
And be authentically you.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to be that with us, because a lot of people are afraid to be that with me.
You know what? If that's a great point. I'm sorry to interrupt, but if that's all that came from this is if one person felt like, wow, those two are so real and felt like they could be real with us, that to me would be huge.
The best gift in the world.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Ma, thank you. What do we say?
Peace out.
Peace out. I have a dress on. So, okay, before I go up to the screen. Thank you. That was a good one. That card was like the best gift ever. We could have talked about that forever.